first fell in love with horror back when I was 12 years old. I was hanging out with my friend Josh, and he rented a horror movie. I wasn't allowed to watch horror movies growing up, but he rented Sleepaway Camp 2. I didn't see the first one, not at first anyway. And we watched that, and I was amazed when she stabbed the girl in the back and stuffed her in the outhouse. And she's like, "What's down in there? What's in there?" It's leeches and shit. That did it for me. I loved horror movies ever since then, and I couldn't stop watching them. Then I went to Jason, Freddy, all the really good ones, classics.
I first fell in love with horror, I'd say, around the age of 3. My parents were always big horror fans, and they decided that they were going to continue watching horror whether they had a child or not. So they would sit me down and tell me that the special effects and the blood and everything that you see in a movie isn't real, and that it's created by artists and talented special effects technicians, and they would just take me to see whatever movie they'd want to see. So at an early age, I saw things like Jaws and the Frank Langella version of Dracula and movies like that, and I just always had it in my life from a very, very early age, and it just never went away.
My friend was a latchkey kid, and his mother would buy him gifts and movies instead of staying at home because she had to work. And watching horror movies was a taboo in my home, so we'd sit and watch all the Friday the 13th movies that he had. I think he had the first 4 or 5, and the first 2, Nightmare on Elm Street. And we'd sit there and get into that while flipping through Fangoria. And, just really feeling like I was doing something wrong on top of seeing some pretty impressive special effects was really what got me into horror.
My horror style probably is mostly influenced by Edward Lee. Fantasy, I love Glenn Cook. He's the Black Company series, the Garrett series. Those are my main influences.
My horror influences in my writing are more weird tales style authors like Robert E. Howard, H.P. Lovecraft, going back even to the Victorian age, Edgar Allan Poe. More modern authors, Clive Barker is a big influence on me. Pretty much I try to, anything that I read just sinks into my mind like a sponge, and I just work it around in there, and then it just kind of comes out in my own style.
I'm influenced by like Wes Craven, John Carpenter, writers like William Gibson, Neil Stephenson. They write very technically, but it's a good flow, and you don't have to really study too hard to understand where they're coming from. Especially like William Gibson with Neuromancer, he pretty much coined all the phrases we use for the internet today.
My favorite subgenre of horror is probably slasher films. I mean, paranormal's okay. Like creepy stuff. I like the creepy stuff, but the slasher, the gore, that does it for me. Anything from Jason and Freddy, Michael Myers a little bit, right up to the Feast movies, and those are the ones that get my heart pumped. Those are the ones I want to see.
My favorite subgenre of horror would be the more dark fairy tale type of story, and things with giant world-building mythos. That's why I enjoy H.P. Lovecraft and Clive Barker, because they just create whole worlds out of nothing. It's almost just like a fantasy novel, but with really, really dark overtones.
I'd have to say I like a lot of the what's that? Cabin in the Woods. I like that kind of genre, or I like comedic as well with a lot of the slash films like Tucker and Dale versus Evil, to name a few. But in any trauma film, really, it has a dark and a light side, which kind of makes it more entertaining than watching somebody get hacked to pieces all day.